Hello, this is Musashi. Today we're going to be looking at the LAV-150. It's an armored fighting vehicle. And there on the screen right there you can see that like all AFVs it gets these bonuses. Capping and that's right. The bonuses each vehicle have I do like a lot as well. It really does get a distinct feel and sort of a purpose behind objectives that you can accomplish in the game. History was fun to read on this. I mean, you can Google it if you wanted to, but it's nice they've got a history here. I think something like that in game to give people without having to go to an outside source, just like the stats, not having to go to an outside website to look up some of this has been really handy. Some of the real nitty-gritty things I'm personally interested in. That's why I look them up and in some cases communicate them. In fact, this video about the LAV-150 is going to be about the details. Majority of this video is going to be a gameplay with the LAV-150 though. That's because I've just had so much fun with it. I probably should have progressed on to something else, but I stayed in this longer than I needed to just because I really enjoyed it. Wheeled vehicles are something I don't have a lot of experience with personally, as well as World of Tanks didn't have any wheeled vehicles, so Armored Warfare is a great opportunity to see how they differ from a tracked vehicle. And so far, at least based on the LAV-150 I've been driving around in, it's an incredible job of giving you a sense that this thing drives differently, it feels differently, the bumps, the suspension, the whole thing. It's really been cool. Here's another shot of the bar graph that you get when you zoom in on the dealer's list. I still really like this thing. It's going to take a while to remember what each icon represents though. Although it's only been 2 days, I've just about got a handle on them by remembering what they are. But I like looking at this thing. It just gives you a real quick glimpse of what the LAV's 150's not good at. You know, the short bars are the not good stuff, and that's alpha and defense. But it's got a lot of good stuff. It's quite the step up, in my opinion, from the 113. It's a tier up, but it feels a full tier up. I don't know how you define that, but it's the gun. The gun on this thing and the ammo that you can use are what make it significantly different. Then the suspension being wheeled versus tracked gives it a whole personality unto itself. Its relatively tall height allows you to get behind rocks and things. So it's a fun vehicle to play. Again, I should have moved on. One of my forum buddies wants to play the M60 and I haven't even unlocked it because I spent too many games playing this thing. It's really just that much fun. Plus, when you see the LAV in action and you're really looking at, or when you're going over bumps and rocks and hills and that independent suspension, I don't know the tech details on how the suspension works, but when you've seen it in real life, then you never forget it. And this thing operates just like the real McCoy. It's really fun to watch when you're playing it. Matter of fact, sometimes I forget to shoot people because I'm watching the vehicle hop over boulders and stuff. So what makes the LAV-150 fun is the driving in this thing. What makes it effective are the 2 upgraded rounds that you get. These are the standard rounds are okay, but you know they're not really any better or really any different than the M113's rounds. But you get 2 upgraded rounds. You get an upgraded cannon that can take the upgraded rounds, and one of the rounds is made by General Dynamic, the semi-armor piercing, high explosive incendiary round. Actually, I went to General Dynamics and I just pulled some stuff off there, so just to show you how well thought out this stuff is. It says it was designed to provide aerial and surface gun platforms with improved effectiveness against soft and light armored targets. So that tells all of us gamers what it's used for, and they don't have to, you know, figure it out. Also, it goes on to say, incorporates the basic multi-purpose technology, providing inherent detonation delay, improved graze sensitivity, and light armor capability. And then later it talks about how it's in the Harrier, it's in the Bradley, it's in the LAV series. It's just used in a lot of stuff. The other round it has is the other round you get access to is our first look at the armor-piercing, fin-stabilized, discarding Sabo round. APF-SDS was the same nomenclature we used on the M1 tanks when I was in that. And it's really interesting to read up on that too, and I won't go on and on about it, but just to show you how complicated these rounds can become. I read this also from one of the websites here. The round is a fixed-type percussion-primed round consisting of a Sabo encapsulated projectile body crimped to a steel cartridge case. The projectile body consists of a depleted uranium penetrator, pressed-on aluminum windscreens, screw-on fins with pressed-in tracer bullets, segmented discarding type nylon sabot, and pressed-on polyethylene nose cap. Gas is produced by the burning propellant discharge, the projectile from the gun at 1,420 meters per second. And it goes on and on and on. I mean, it's amazing the tech that goes into these rounds. In a practical sense, game term-wise, the kinetic energy rounds, or the APF-ST rounds, they go twice as fast as the other type of rounds. So when you're leading targets, you just don't have to lead them, or you shouldn't lead them as much with that higher velocity. So when you're looking at the stats on these ammo, and there's a lot of stats for those things, always pay attention to the meters per second, or the velocity that's given, and you'll get an idea for how much or how little you'll have to lead your target. Another super interesting thing you see on the LAV-150, that right here, the enhanced cooling system that gives you a defense against thermal imaging sights. There's been some talk about whether the game was going to include that. I don't know if this is just a placeholder or they're really going to have thermal sights or not. But I was really stoked when I saw this. I posted on the forums when someone was talking about upgrades. So that should be fun in the future. But for now, let's take a look at some actual gameplay. I just love the LAV-150. I just love the way it plays. And so, again, I've played a lot, and I have a fair amount of footage. Although, what I'm mostly going to show you is when I started my sort of progression through the game, I was not very good in the beginning with this whole wheeled vehicle thing. And you're going to see that here in spades. Driving this was my very first game. So you can already tell, like, I'm already running into stuff. This was my very first game in the LAV-150, and maybe my first game ever with a wheeled vehicle. I played Battlefield 1942, I've played lots of games, but I don't remember ever driving a wheeled vehicle, a modern wheeled vehicle like this, or, you know, combat vehicle. And yeah, I wasn't very good. Really quite horrible. This is another, look at where I'm about to run over here. See that, like, the old planted rows in an old field there where they've got that row? Just everything is modeled so well. In one of the other maps, you've got a pumpkin field, and the pumpkins make little smashing sounds. The immersion in the environment's very, very good here. When you knock a tree down, it sounds like you're really knocking a tree down. That part of Armored Warfare is just awesome. I just love it. Okay, so I missed the first pylon. No, I'm not having lag. There's no lag here. That's really, I just don't know how to drive this thing. Yeah, every obstacle starts looking like a real challenge. I've got to make these wide U-turns. Even then, look at this. I'm an idiot. Look. As I'm doing this, I'm thinking to myself, how did I do that? So I'm feeling pretty dumb here in my first game. At this point, I'm not even concerned about the mini-map or the enemy. I'm just trying to get down the road. That's my only goal. I see a good firing position here. Turns out it's a terrible firing position, but anyone else has been here, you'll know that. Okay, now we've made some progress now. We're on to game 2 or 3, I forget, but you can already see I was able to get out of that guy's way better than I did the first time. Oh, there goes our plane. Everybody jokes in the game now. That pilot never learns. There goes the plane again. It's a constant cacophony of jokes and one-liners about that plane going down. But that makes it fun. Anyway, you can see here I'm making much better progress than I was the first game. I still have a few hiccups on the way that you'll see here in a little bit of the footage. Now, one of the things the LAV-150 and these auto cannons are really good for is suppressive fire. A lot of situations where, whether you're hitting them or not, it can be really effective to just keep fire down while your teammates advance and keep the guy from poking his head out. Also, there's a lot of items that are destructible in the game, and sometimes it's hard to tell which ones are destructible and which ones aren't. So a tank that reloads every 7 seconds can't afford to be knocking things down with their rounds, where here you can spray and pray all sorts of stuff. I think initially when the game came out, people were doing it just to see what would break, but then later in a gameplay sense, it's really good when you're driving one of these vehicles. If it looks like there's some advantage that your team could be gained by eliminating defensive positions, it never hurts to throw some rounds down range and knock out stuff so that your teammates can take advantage of it. Well, I really, again, love the LAV-150. I've gotten much better at it in the 15 or 20 games or whatever I've played, and this is only within a couple of days. So for some reason, this vehicle just matched what I like to do in the game, or at least the pace or style I like. So I'm sure there'll be other tanks that I'll enjoy as much, if not more. But I'm going to leave you with just some raw footage here so you can watch the LAV in action now that I've gotten my act together. So thank you again for tuning in to Let's Play Armored Warfare. This is Musashi, and I'll see you for my next episode, which will be the PT-76. Thank you again, and enjoy the footage for the LAV-150.
Identify target.
Hostile tank.